I'm hoping people actually watch this before commenting, but if I was Elon or Vivek under Doge, there are 3 areas I would consider investigating to chop and save some government spending when it comes to VA disability. Okay. First, if Elon was looking at VA disability, and to be clear, there is zero indication that's the case. Zero. Not a little bit, it's zero. Right? Let's just assume that he's going to, for the sake of this video. The very first red flag, and I'm being Elon right now, a red flag in my mind, and I would investigate to cut some spending, are unwarranted C&P exams. Now, this is something that has been in the public eye many times. Unwarranted C&P exams, their cost on taxpayers, the unwarranted exam extending the process even further, which in turn costs more money, are all things that the House Committee for Veteran Affairs, and it's actually HVAC, which is HVAC, they're totally tracking. Congress is tracking the dollar amount spent on unwarranted C&P exams. This year alone, that's been reported at least 3 times that I know of, okay? The live streams that I've caught of HVAC. So when someone says that Elon and Vivek are going to be chopping VA disability benefits, my money is actually on the process, the dollar amount on processes, wasting money. They're not, no one cares about you. No one cares about me. They're not going to come after your individual benefits. That's ludicrous, okay? When a veteran submits a fully developed claim with an actionable and sufficient DBQ and Nexus letter from a specialist in whatever field of that claim condition, right? So if you're claiming PTSD, you don't want a board-certified psychiatrist. And that DBQ and Nexus letter reviews all the veteran's relevant medical evidence and has a medical analysis as to why the Nexus was given, that claim is good to go to be decided on. What the VA does time and time again is they consciously choose. It doesn't just happen. They make a conscious decision to develop that claim even further, sending the veteran to another C&P exam to have another DBQ and another Nexus statement generated. And oh, by the way, the VA doesn't even give the C&P examiner all of the relevant medical evidence required to make a positive Nexus in the first place. Okay, so this is why veterans should absolutely bring their DBQs and Nexus letters with them to their exam. But all of that stuff costs money. It's all money that the VA is forcing claims to be overdeveloped. And let's be very clear here, okay? The phrase develop to deny is exactly what I'm talking about. The VA will spend taxpayer dollars to develop that DBQ that the C&P examiner does, the Nexus letter the C&P examiner does, the administration costs to have the C&P exam, the location, all of that stuff costs money, okay? And that fully developed claim that you submitted is going to be denied, and they do that every single day. Millions of claims. In fact, the VA OIG has reported on this. This has been reported on multiple times to the House Committee, and it's something that is very well known, but yet taxpayer dollars are still being sent on unwarranted C&P exams. Happens all the time, okay? So that's my number one. Unwarranted C&P exams, if I'm Elon, that's got to go. That's stupid money being spent. Okay, now that assumes that the veteran's claim is truly fully developed and the DBQ and Nexus is actionable and sufficient. If it's not, it requires a C&P exam. The issue is the VA just kind of gives a blanket C&P exams to anything and everything. Now, my number 2 area to chop and save some U.S. taxpayer dollars are automated processing systems. And I'm not sure what's going on at the VA with their automated systems, but they are not doing what they are intended to do. Okay, so for instance, this is a true story. I had a friend who submitted all the evidence for a certain claim, everything picture perfect, scanned, quick submit, called the VA, made sure everything was in there. Everything went through. talking to a VSO, the VA had eyes on the evidence. No decision was made. And yet, due to an automated processing system, that claim was kicked without a human decision. And I would explain that in detail, but I don't want to give too much information because I'd like to keep my friend who is a real life friend of mine as anonymous as possible. Okay. But the VA's automated system for this particular claim bypassed everything, sent that decision letter of a reduction notice. Now that my friend had to call, make a lot of moves, it was super stressful. And turns out, true story, this automated processing system did this all on its own, and that happens all the time. It's not just one-off instances, okay? Happens all the time. We've seen tons of OIG reports bashing and slashing the VA's automated processing systems all over the department, okay? That's just one example. Another example is the automated system at the National Working Queue, okay, which decides, that does a lot of things, but one of the things it did that OIG did report on was the National Queue pushing claims that are ready for decisions to regional offices, except for the processing system didn't push the claim. They just sat there for over a year, just sat there, right? That's insane. That system has automated systems have been wrong and messed up multiple times, and all that stuff costs money. So whatever contracting company, and this is way over my head, but whoever's working that for the VA, long story short, every time it doesn't work and they have to be updated, have to be fixed, maybe this has to happen, all that costs money, and they are requesting more money from the government to fix the problems that for whatever reason were caused, except for the same outcome of the agreed upon contract is not being met. Hey, do this. Okay, it's not working. They're just requesting more money. Okay, that's the paraphrase version of it, at least as simple as I can make it. And the last area, and this one's way over my head, but something that I would absolutely take a look at, because again, OIG reports tell us to do this, is the electronic health records management system thing, whatever they are calling it, EHR. Okay. That I believe started all on the West Coast, Washington and Oregon to be exact. From what I see from VA employees who have used EHR, I've spoken with them, emailed with them, every form of communication I've had with people who use EHR. They don't like it. It sucks. It doesn't work. Okay. And from OIG reports that show how much money has been poured into this EHR system thing, it's tens of millions of dollars, and it still does not work as intended. Okay. Now, again, way over my head, but from my perspective, what's going on here? You know, we're looking at government spending and veteran benefits. You look at, fraud, waste, and abuse is rampant in every single government department ever. If you've been to huge bases like Leatherneck or The Wire in Afghanistan, then you know exactly what fraud, waste, and abuse looks like. People are eating ice cream, going to the Green Bean on Kuwait, just like this wild things. And when you look at the Department of Veteran Affairs, you would be really stupid to say they're spending taxpayer dollars perfectly, as intended. That's not the case. And so if VBA is looked into, which I don't think it will at all, but if it is, those are three areas. Number one, unwarranted CMP exams is hands down. I've been talking about unwarranted CMP exams for like 2 years now. That's got to go, dude. That costs money. It delays claims, develops to deny. That's what it's for. That's got to go. Automated processing systems just have to work. Stop putting more money to a company to do this. I don't know the contracting world, but if I tell someone I'm going to do something, that standard is met. They're not meeting the standard. And when the standard's not met, doesn't mean we give them more millions of dollars to meet the standard. We already paid them, okay? Same thing with EHR. I think the last OIG report was $30 million more poured into EHR, which was a few months ago, on top of what it already cost. And I don't know what the cost is, but I know it's a lot of money, okay? Anyways, that's all I got. Yeah, it turns out the government doesn't know how to spend money. Who would have thought?